This project is supported in part by a generous donation from Chet and Barbara Gardner.
Lincoln County was big. Yeah, there was boats, this whole Oregon coast, there was boats being built everywhere. I mean, Newport had 3 shipyards, I think. George Walker, that's Alan Long's place later. Bayside Machine, Yaquina Boat Works. So there was people building boats left and right.
My dad's folks came to Lincoln County from Astoria. They were Finns, and his dad came to about the turn of the century, was running the Elmore Cannery, which was just east of what is Kernville now. Then he quit that and decided to run his own, which was about 1.5 miles, 2 miles upriver, which became the Slet's Boat Works with his brother Edward. This would be in the late teens, early 20s, 1920s. The canneries at that time built boats for the fishermen. They were assigned a boat, and then they would go downriver and out and fish for the day and come back in, deliver their fish to the cannery. After the cannery went bankrupt, my grandfather was a great guy, very inventive, but not a very good businessman, I don't think. Edgar Tula took over the shop, and he started building boats there. Ed built the traditional Pacific Coast trawler, usually somewhere between 40 to 60 feet, and my estimate would be somewhere around 60. They all were a little different, and they all looked very much the same. The thing that I remember is the skill that it took. They could take this piece of wood that was just a chunk of wood or a plank and start using a hand plane, which I still have a number of them, and an adze and saws and this sort of thing. And pretty soon they had this piece of wood that was shaped that fit just right into where it was supposed to be. If it was a plank on the boat, after they steamed it, it bent and fit in. It just amazed me that they were able to know how to cut it, how to plane it, how to fit it, so that when they bent it into shape, because everything on a boat is bent, it seems, that it all fit.
George Calkins had a really good eye for aesthetics. All of his designs were just a very good-looking, salty look to them. In the 50s, when he started Calkins Craft on D Lake, where the little D River crosses under the Highway 101. And there he had a showroom that was up at the 101 level, and behind that was a boat shop with a dock onto the lake or the river there.
And as a boat builder, exquisite, because he took chances. He did something different. He didn't just copy what somebody else was doing, and that's unique. George didn't have an education in boat building. He had a natural ability to look at a piece of wood, put it on a bandsaw, turn it, and I'd say, what are you doing? You know, why are you, and he goes, well, you look at that rib over there, you just do it. George and Dad spent a lot of time together and building boats and sharing stories and weekends together, and we were always on a boat, whatever Dad was working on or George was working on. I got to hang out in George's design studio where he was testing boats in D Lake. I got to look over his shoulder and try to figure out what they were doing and why they were doing it. And in those days, if you needed a part or you needed a tool, you just would figure out a way to make the part or make the tool that was necessary to get the job done. You didn't go to Home Depot, you know, and just buy everything you need.
Bartenders were and are my favorite boat to build.
It's a really good, solid boat for going out in rough water. People have been using it for that purpose for a long time, so it's a quite different boat than what you could get on the market.
The operation of the boat itself was really good. When Bartender first got really popular, it was out of Depot Bay and Sweats River back in the early 50s, mid-50s into the 60s. A lot of capsizings and that out there. And they used the Bartender quite extensively.
George's boats, they look good in the water. They performed really well. They were quite popular. He sold quite a few of them.
It's unfortunate that we don't have George and my dad Hobart around to help and teach people how to do it. And I don't know if they would be very good teachers, because they did everything intuitively. It was amazing. Like, how did you learn how to do that? Well, you just do it. He got seasick. When he would go out and touch boats, he'd get seasick. So one of the reasons they built Tayama roughly 70 feet was that he thought he could break the seasickness if he had a larger vessel.
Dad raced boats in the 50s. We lived in Salem and came to the coast quite often, and every time we came to the coast, we stopped at D-Lake and talked to George. I don't know if George designed the boats Dad built, but I helped him build them when I was old enough to hold a sheet of plywood walking backwards. For some reason, in 1962, he bought a 28-foot captain's gig that was sitting on the top of it was a school bus with the body cut off. The only part that was covered was the driver's seat, and this 28-foot boat was on the back of that school bus. He bought that boat and we had to go salmon fishing. Dad and I moved here and lived here for the first summer all by ourselves. We fished during the day and he was the bartender in Toledo at night. And I was a 15-year-old kid turned loose. And luckily, we survived. My dad was a journeyman carpenter who worked in the shipyards in World War II. He was the brains, let me put it that way. And Ross Troyer was building boats right across the street from us. And part of the deal on the first hull was he came over to our shop every day and schooled us on whatever part of the boat we were in. And we just did what he told us for that day, and eventually there was a boat sitting there. But we built 5 Troyer hulls in Toledo, my father and I. Troyer had so many orders for those little 44-footers that my dad sold that boat unfinished, and we started building steel boats. The only problem with that is Dad didn't know how to light a torch or run a weld, but luckily I did. There was a boom here at that time. Everybody was building boats. We had 4 of them going on my property at the same time. Alan was building boats. A couple of guys up the river, DeBanco, they were building boats. And they built another one at our house because they didn't have room to build one at their place. The first boat we built was the Katrina, Lucky Pierre, Halcyon. The Sea Mist was a 48-footer we built for the mayor of Sandpoint, Alaska, and as far as I know, it's still up there. And the Two Saints was the last one. Dad came down with cancer real bad, right? Well, within months after we finished the Two Saints. And because the market had just fallen apart, it didn't sell. So I was working on a hake boat at the time, and I quit and started running the Two Saints. And Mother was deeply in debt. The house was tied up in it, and so I ran the boat for the next 22 years, and we paid the boat off and paid her house off.
Well, I was born in Albany in 1956, and my dad was working at a lumber mill. On his time off, he would race boats on the Willamette River. He wanted to go fast, so he got himself a book on high-speed planing hulls, and he read up on it. He only went through 8th grade, so he didn't have a real high education level, but he was interested in boats, and so he threw himself into it wholeheartedly, and he read these books and decided he was going to build a boat, maybe it would do better than what the boat he had for racing. And he had some success, and so other people started saying, well, maybe you could build me a boat. I'd like to have one of those, and so he started building boats for people. Then people started wanting boats to go fishing for salmon in front of, out on the coast here. So they wanted 16, 18, 20-foot boats. And so he thought, well, there's a fair amount of interest over there. Maybe I'll move over to the coast. And that's when we came to Newport in 1960. I was 4 years old. He wanted his boats to have flare in the bow. And a flared bow is very difficult to cover with sheet material. So it took him quite a while to figure out how to do that. It's a compound curve, and sheets like to bend one way, but while they're bending one way, they don't like to bend the other way at the same time. But he finally figured out how to do it. And then he bought a book. There's Plywood Boat Building by Glenn L. Witt. And it said right in there that plywood won't go around compound curves. And he always said that it was a good thing he did it before he read the book, or he would never have tried. Dad was, he was very regimented in what he did. He knew what worked, and he wasn't interested in experimenting. There wasn't any gray area at all. It was just, this is what I build. If you want it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. A year later, the wife and I, we had money enough for a down payment on either a house or a boat. And I told her, if we build a boat, it'll buy a house. If we build a house, it ain't gonna buy a boat. So we built a boat. I was able to talk my dad to coming out of retirement. He was 66 years old when he built Challenge with me. We built it together. We had Challenge built in 1980, and the wife and I still own the boat today, and it fishes longline in the summertime for halibut and blackcod, and it fishes crabs in the wintertime. And so we built what he wanted to build, and it has turned out to be just a tremendous little boat for us. It's been excellent.
A fella named Joe Rock, who's a fisherman here in town, has been for all his life. I was working at another boatyard. I was there for 8 years. Joe, he come up to me and he had a set of plans he'd bought from an architect up in Seattle, and he come to me and wanted me to go up the river with him and build a boat. So that's what we did. His first boat was 67 foot. The one that I built there, him and I built. The boat's name was the Heritage. I'm thinking we did that 79, 80. At Bayside Machine, we built 10, 11, 12, something like that of them. The next year, I leased the same piece of property, and I started building boats on my own. So, it was called the Pacific Boat Building at the time. I think 23 at my shop. And then I think we built 13 at Bayside. And then I started another company called Long's Marine Enterprises. Then I built boats in that company for, I don't know, next 15, 16 years. I really didn't have competition. My boats were all bigger than most of the guys. You know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 100s, fleet was growing, and the fishermen were doing pretty good at their money and having money, and they were, you know, changing boats up from the old wood boats to the new steel boats and stuff like that. And everybody was growing, you know.
And my dad had the little shop right next door here, and he had the fix it and repair shop. It's back when you didn't throw your parts away, you took them to the local mechanic and had them fixed. And then there was a little fish plant here. A lot of trollers came in the summertime, and we worked on the trollers. And he didn't ever build any boats. He was pretty much a small-time tinkerer type guy. Finally, my brother and I decided we were going to build one. We got to talk the old man into letting us do it. A 47-foot trial. Well, that was the name of the boat, the trial. And built that, and we built it in our spare time because we had to go earn some money before we could work on it. So I think we got launched in '79. And when that boat unfinished rolled out of that shed over there, I didn't realize it, but I rolled out with it because we used to work in there and rent the old man's tools, and I rolled out with it. He saved all the work for my little brother. So I went to Alaska for a year with my family, and when I came back and I had a few dollars in my pocket, not very many, because I'd just beaten the docks up in Kodiak welding, and came back here and bought the gear shed and started my own business full bore then. That was about in 78 or something. I started in 74. I started the name of Fred Wall Marine Construction in 74. I built 4 boats up there in that thing, and I had to bring them on a trailer down and launch them. I mean, they're 58 footers, 2 53s. We had to pull out on 101 in by the city hall, which we used to be the grade school, and then down the hill and turn them around and back them into the water. Wasn't very good, but we got it pretty perfected by the 4th one. Those were fairly small 58 footers. They're 18, 19 feet wide, and everybody was wanting bigger boats. And I had a chance to build a bigger boat. Well, it was too big for the bay. It was 22 feet wide and a lot deeper, and wouldn't fit my building, wouldn't fit the trailer, wouldn't fit anything else. There was a little boatyard down in Reesport, and it had been belly up for years. So I bought the lease from him and moved down there on the 4th of July, and nobody even knew I was leaving, except my building came up empty. Where in the hell did that Wall kid go anyway? Built that boat, overhauled that shipyard, overhauled the ways, overhauled everything else, and started hauling boats. All of a sudden I had a great big river, and I had a ways that was good for, it said it was 900 tons. I think it was good for about 300, but we fixed it and kept going and going, building a lot of boats, or off and on. I'm building a little boat for myself right now, a little Dungeness crab boat to fit a permit, and it's number 52 for me, not counting the trial that we built here, the first 47 footer. So I'm 52 boats to date.
In 1978, salmon limited entry came in. And it was just like somebody just flipped a switch. And all of a sudden there was nobody walking in the door interested in the boat because they couldn't get a permit. You had to decommission a boat or take a permit off of a boat, remove it from the fishery in order to put a new one in. And people that had boats, they weren't ready to do that. So the boat building for boats the size of commercial salmon trawlers was pretty much over overnight, just flip of a switch.
There was a new president elected and boat building died as fast as it started.
And so I just kind of bailed out at the time, and I was into the big boats by then, and it was kind of time for me to get out of boat building. I was ready to go do something else.
Everybody wants their boats wider now because limited entry is based on length. And if you want your boat bigger, you have to go wider because you can't go longer and have your same permit on it.
If you take a 100-foot boat or a 120-foot boat and you keep the engine room, your boat's pretty nice, it's just not big enough, you save your generators, you save your wheelhouse, you save your running gear, all the shafting and all the internals. You just build a bigger boat around it. So Ted's boat, we did the Alaska Trojan, and it was 135 by 30, and we made it 42 feet wide. And he went from 40,000 gallons of fuel to 105. So you want to borrow your credit card, you go ahead.
That's $6 a gallon right now. That's not good.
It always amazed me that these guys could take this piece of wood that was 30, 40 feet long, cut it in a way, and then put it on this bench and plane off the edges and so forth. And they had this funny shaped chunk of wood, and they'd take it up and start fitting it onto the boat after it had been steamed, and it would just fit right into where it was supposed to go, and there was a complete seam that bent all the way around the edge of the boat.
And the passion it takes and the skill that it takes to build a boat, the understanding of wood, moisture in the wood, you know, everything that goes into, it seems as though we've kind of lost that crap.
Alan and Joe, working just the two of them, built a boat very similar to one that I built in 2013, or had built in 2013.
I used exactly the same plan. We widened it a bit and raised the back deck. But we had 15, 16 guys at a shipyard in Charleston working, building this boat. They had 2 people, Joe and Alan. My boat showed up on 3 semi-flatbed trucks, all cut out, computer cut. All they had to do is put the puzzle together. These guys built this boat from a stack of rectangular metal that they had to cut the shape from the word go, and they did it in less time than what it took 15 guys to build my boat in Coos Bay in 2013. So incredible, and it was a beautiful boat when it was done, and it served Joe and his family very well for years. So we built Patriot. That one was built at Giddings shipyard down in Charleston, Oregon. And it was only because Alan wasn't building them anymore.